want to tell you about something. Most businesses, as we're speaking right now, are exposed to a cyber attack. And the fact is, when most businesses even think about a cyber risk, it straight away comes into my mind that this is definitely about a hacker. This is definitely someone's breaching into our system. But in reality, when you actually step back and look at it, most cyber incidents actually happen because of ordinary business decisions that are made sense at that time in the boardroom. But if you're a business owner, a director, or a manager, then in this video, I'm not going to be teaching you how to hack or how hacking works, but it's about understanding where the business is actually exposed, why you probably don't even see it, and why a cyber risk is, technically a leadership and governance issue, not a technical issue. Because when you think about it, the uncomfortable truth is most businesses are exposed to cyber attacks. And the fact is, they don't even know about this. When I say exposed, I don't mean that someone's actually actively breaking into your systems trying to steal your data or some, ethical hack is happening right now. But exposure means risk is existing without visibility or control. Think of it like owning valuable assets. Without knowing whether they're insured, nothing feels wrong until something actually goes wrong. Cyber exposure builds quietly as businesses grow. New systems are expanding, new vendors are on board, remote work expands, and cloud tools are introduced. These decisions are made to move fast, not to reduce risk. And over time, these decisions compound, and as they do, exposure slowly builds up in the background. You might ask, so why don't businesses realize this is happening? Well, the fact is, it actually boils down to three main reasons. And a significant majority of cyber incidents don't actually start with hackers. They start with simple business decisions that we actually make that we think are harmless. But these decisions that we make, are the main reasons why we're able to grow, improve efficiency, or even move fast. For example, remote work is expanding quickly. New tools are adapted without full understanding how data flows through them. Access is granted so people can do their jobs efficiently. None of these decisions are reckless on their own, but together they shape the organization risk exposure. And no single decision creates risk. Risk emerges gradually as everyday choices accumulate without visibility or oversight. And cyber risk is usually delegated to the IT team, but the impact of cyber instances, financial losses, legal exposure, reputational damage, operational disruption, it all sits within the leadership. And these risks are, they will cost millions or even billions of dollars depending on the size of the organization. And when the board assumes a cyber risk is handled, accountability becomes blurred. IT manages systems, but executives own the outcome. Regulators increasingly expect boards to demonstrate active oversight of cyber risk, and failures to do so is a governance issue and not a technical one. This often leads to what many organizations experience after incident. This is the CISO as a culprit trap, where responsibility is pushed downwards, even when the root causes are strategic. Unclear risk, insufficient investments, or a culturally that prioritize speed over resilience. When a cyber risk is delegated without governance, it isn't managed, it is deferred. When organizations, assume they're secure because nothing bad has happened yet, but past luck often mistakes for future security. Often instances don't announce themselves in advance. Multiple gaps across systems, people, and third parties line up at the wrong moment. When people think about cyber instances, they usually think of fines or headlines. But in fact, when you look at the bigger picture, it is more than fines or headlines. In reality, the cost is far more operational and far more disruptive. Operational systems go down, staff can't work effectively, and customers experience delays or failures. The businesses slow down, and exactly at the wrong time. Imagine you have a huge afternoon rush and half your systems are down. Why? Because one of our simple decisions we took, one of our overlooking aspect we took, and then one of our decisions caused this outage. Imagine the millions of dollars of loss that is happening. Financially, the impact goes well beyond fines. Instant responses are expensive, insurance premiums increase, deals fall through due to loss of trust. Many of these costs don't show up neatly on the balance sheet, but they compound over time. Then there's leadership reputation risk. After an incident, scrutiny follows. Questions like, why didn't we know about this? Who was responsible? What else do we know? How else are we covered? Cyber incidents rarely destroy companies overnight, but they quietly erode confidence, trust, and momentum. Here are a few warning signs, not as big, but as a reality check. If any of these sound familiar, exposure is quite likely existing in your business. And there's no clear owner of cyber risk at the leadership level. Cyber is discussed only after incidents or audits. These are a limited visibility in which systems, data, or vendors the businesses actually depend on. Security is assumed to be handled rather than actively governed, and compliance is treated as proof of safety instead of a minimum balance. None of these mean a business is irresponsible. They usually mean the business has grown and risk management hasn't caught up yet. The most resilient businesses don't aim to be perfectly secure. They aim to be aware, deliberately, and prepared. They treat cyber risks the same way they treat financial or legal risks. They focus on visibility before protection. They ask better questions instead of buying more tools. And most importantly, leadership understands the risk well enough to make informed decisions. Cyber maturity, isn't about technology. It's about the governance. Here's the key takeaway. Cyber risk is not an IT problem. It's a business risk created by a business decision. If a leadership can't clearly explain where the cyber exposure exists, then exposure already exists. In future videos, I'll be breaking down how businesses can assess and prioritize and manage cyber risk without technical noise, fear tactics, or vendor agendas. If you're responsible for decisions, not configurations, then this channel is for you.